What's up, y'all? Hope y'all doing good. I'm Anthony K. Thomas, and welcome to Wrestling with Rumors. Welcome, everyone. So, before we get into everything that is this week on this week's episode of Wrestling with Rumors, like I say every week, every rumor that I am about to read to you is exactly what it is. It is a rumor. We can speculate as wildly as we want, but until that rumor is proven fact, true, we see it confirmed by the company or the wrestler themselves, it remains what it is, a rumor. So with that, let's get into everything that is a new episode of Wrestling with Rumors. Per the Wrestling Observer, the current WrestleMania 42 plan is indeed for Roman Reigns versus CM Punk for the world title. The other main title match will likely be Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu for the WWE Championship. Now, we can confirm for sure at least half of this rumor is true in CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, as we saw last week's episode of Monday Night Raw. At the end of that episode, how Roman Reigns came out. He talked a little bit, then CM Punk came out. He talked a little bit, they both talked. Shots were fired in that promo. And Roman Reigns right there picked CM Punk. He stated his reason why he picked CM Punk. We got our match at WrestleMania 42, main event, either night 1 or night 2. This will be CM Punk's second main event at WrestleMania. Incredible. And this time around, this will be his first main event, although with him as champion, which is sick. So his first time as champion going into WrestleMania in the main event. Not his first time as champion going into WrestleMania as champion, but just when I mean first time, I just mean he had for the first time he got to main event of WrestleMania. That was last year in the Triple Threat, which was a great Triple Threat, turned things around. It's how the Vision became the Vision. And this time around, Roman Reigns, CM Punk. For CM Punk, this is really the first time he's going into WrestleMania as champion, into a main event as champion. So, awesome. Nonetheless, that part of the rumor is absolutely true. The second part of this rumor feels like it actually is starting to be true. But this Friday on SmackDown, in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match, it is Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu versus Sami Zayn. And whoever wins that match goes into the Elimination Chamber. So the ideas that I had of the Elimination Chamber qualifying match, and that they would be single matches and not triple threat matches, I was way off on that. And I only thought I was thinking that it would be single matches, and that's how you would get both Jacob Fatu and Cody Rhodes into the Elimination Chamber match. But only out of all of them, only one of them is going into that Elimination Chamber match. So I wouldn't mind it being Sami Zayn in that Elimination Chamber match, but I don't think it's going to be Sami Zayn. This might be an unpopular decision for me to say this, but I think it's going to be Cody Rhodes. I think Cody Rhodes is going to win that match, get into the Elimination Chamber match, and I hope that before Elimination Chamber there is one more match, and it's a last chance match where those who were unable to win in the triple threat match are entered into a last chance match, and the winner of that last chance match is gets the last chamber in Elimination Chamber. That would be a way to get Jacob Fatu or Cody Rhodes into that match if Cody Rhodes doesn't win the triple threat. But I think it's going to be Cody Rhodes who wins that triple threat. But I still feel that going down this road in WrestleMania, that a scenario will happen where where Jacob Fatu or Cody Rhodes insert themselves into a championship match with Drew McIntyre in the middle of it. Because the way it's playing out is Drew McIntyre got Cody Rhodes out of the Royal Rumble, even though he wasn't in the Rumble. So that puts Cody Rhodes right back on Drew McIntyre. Jacob Fatu is nowhere near done with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is nowhere near done with Jacob Fatu. And Jacob Fatu is very convinced that it was Drew McIntyre that attacked him and kept him out for as long as he did. So no matter how it goes for the Elimination Chamber, Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, and Jacob Fatu are all intertwined with each other. So the only way to get to the other side of all of this is a triple threat. So no matter how things play out in that Elimination Chamber qualifying match and at Elimination Chamber, I really believe by the time we get to WrestleMania 42, we will have a triple threat in which it will be Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu for the WWE Championship. Now, as far as who wins that WWE Championship, I don't see it being Cody Rhodes. It's either going to be Jacob Fatu or Drew McIntyre. But we'll talk more about that when we get closer to WrestleMania, when this match feels more official. So for now, we're just going to move on. According to PW Insider, AJ Styles is scheduled to visit WWE headquarters alongside Tiffany Stratton. It could be to record podcasts, but it's not entirely clear at this time. AJ Styles did record a podcast, and it's already out now on WWE's YouTube channel, or wherever you watch, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. He did a podcast with Stephanie McMahon. It was his first interview since his career-ending match at Royal Rumble, but they didn't really talk about his career. There was no talk really. There really wasn't a lot of talk about his career. It was very non-existent. What they talked about was really just personal stuff. It just really felt like you were listening to a conversation, and all that was missing was some coffee or tea, and it just really felt like a personal conversation, like how Styles and his wife met. They talked about kids. There was really very little wrestling talk. And the wrestling that they did talk, I'm going to bring that up in just a moment. Hold on a second. On the Styles front, Fightful Select says Fightful Select says he was a big topic within AEW at Dynamite last week, and the expectation is the company will pursue him if there is an opportunity there. They also made clear that Styles very much had it his way at it as it relates to his WWE retirement. There was a question about his gloves and answered with, "I don't know." Now, he did leave his gloves. He did leave it open, and maybe down the road he'll come back, but nothing is for sure. About that, the moment where he got back in the ring and it looked like he was going to took his gloves off and then put him back on. In that podcast with Stephanie McMahon, What's Your Story? There really wasn't. He really left it open, even in the interview. Like, he says he does not know. Like, there was talk you're allowed to come back at least once in retirement, and like nothing is really closed in a way. So, I mean, he kind of left it in the cliffhanger in a sense. The way he ended it in at Royal Rumble, I guess, is the way he wanted to end it. He started his WWE career at the Royal Rumble, and then 10 years later, he ends his WWE career in the Royal Rumble. For now, he's retired. For now, I think he's going to kick back and be with the wife, be with the kids, and be part of moments that he might have missed in the past. I respect that. And if he's done, then he's done, and I respect that. We'll miss him. But if he's not done, I feel that if he does come back, I don't think it would be to WWE. I think it would be to TNA. I feel that I still feel that that his that as far as a pro wrestling career, putting it into that, putting a final stamp to that, is ending it where it all began for him, and that would be in TNA. So if he does come back, I could see him coming back, maybe at least for one more match, and it would be in TNA, not WWE. But you know, you never know. Never say never, and we're gonna move on. Bodyslam.net says there have been discussions within WWE to hold NXT Vengeance Day on March 7th at the Performance Center. If it's a money thing, for the reason why they would hold it in the Performance Center, I could understand that. If they're looking to, if the NXT budget is looking to save money, and to have it in the Performance Center, yeah, I could see that as being a reason. They haven't really, as far as I can remember, the last time they did any kind of PLE or NXT involved show in the Performance Center was, I think it was COVID, like back in 2019, like about 6 years ago, I believe. That was the last time that I can remember it going back. So, I mean, sure, in the Performance Center, okay, we'll have to wait and see. Even though it would be creeping up really close, March 7th, so we should be knowing something fairly soon. Excuse me. Meanwhile, PW Insider says Stand and Deliver is currently scheduled for Saturday, April 18th, just hours before WrestleMania 42, Night 1. Ever since WrestleMania went to 2 nights, Friday and Saturday have really been very busy nights for everyone in WWE, from the fan point of view and from those who work in WWE. Because Friday night, you have SmackDown and the Hall of Fame ceremony, which is dumb, because I feel that instead of doing both SmackDown and the Hall of Fame ceremony on the same night, the Hall of Fame ceremony should be a Thursday. SmackDown is Friday. And then Saturday, which is also a very busy day, like a busy 24 hours, because first thing in the morning you got Stand and Deliver, and then a couple hours and then Stand and Deliver, depending on when it starts. And usually Stand and Deliver will start about 9 o'clock and go until about like 9-10 o'clock, and is usually about like 2.5 hours. So then it goes until about 12:30, and then you have maybe 30 minutes of a break before you got the countdown show for WrestleMania, and then WrestleMania, and then you got the post show, and then you got the rest of the night to do whatever, cool, chill out, and then Sunday is a little bit more lighter, because then all you just have is WrestleMania for night 2. And then Raw, and then NXT, and then a couple days to chill out, unless you're a fan, and then Monday you have Raw, Tuesday you have NXT, Wednesday you have Dynamite, Thursday you got TNA Impact, then Friday you got SmackDown, and then Saturday, maybe if you watch it, you have little over an hour of AAA, and then Sunday you're good. if that's your wrestling schedule. But anyway, yeah, so Saturday is always pretty hectic for night 1 of WrestleMania, because you have Stand and Deliver and you have WrestleMania just not long after. So yeah, it's gonna be Saturdays is always, ever since WrestleMania went to a 2-night thing, Saturdays is always the busiest. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's a dose of it. You know, it's an overdose of WWE, and I love it. So it's all good. Anyway, and this next rumor that I'm gonna read, I want everyone to take a grain of salt on this, because it's coming from Jonathan Coachman. Okay, so remember what you're watching. You're watching Wrestling with Rumors, so everything I read is a rumor until it's proven true or fact. Y'all understand. So this coming from Jonathan Coachman. It's absolutely a rumor. So I'm going to read it, and then we'll go from there. So Jonathan Coachman said on Coach and Bro Show that Roman Reigns' comments to Pat McAfee last week were a direct shot at Triple H. Vince Russo went further, theorizing that the criticism actually came from The Rock and saying he's 1,000% convinced Triple H won't be in his current role by January 1st, 2027. Okay, now, Jonathan Coachman and Vince Russo, take it all with a grain of salt. They have said this before in the past. They said this last year, and they're saying it again this year. Obviously, these are two men who probably don't like Paul Levesque, Triple H very much. And that doesn't... And understanding who Paul Levesque is, he doesn't give a shit. Right? He doesn't give a shit about this shit. He's focused. He's 100% focused on his job, doing the best he can, doing what he loves, working with people that he respects and likes and is able to communicate, all that stuff. And everyone's going to have an opinion. There are going to be people who are going to hope for something like this. But I personally see the difference between Vince and Triple H, and I'm liking what's going on with what Triple H is doing. It can be a touchy subject, especially all the things that are orbiting around him and how it looks and how it may look, but we don't actually really know. We're never really in the room where it happens, and we don't fully understand what he deals with every day. So all we can do is watch the product, and if things happen, they happen. And yeah, so take it with a grain of salt, and tread lightly, I guess. So yeah, we're gonna move forward. Even though John Cena is retired now, WrestleVotes Radio says there are no plans for him to be in the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2026. There is some speculation that this is because Stephanie McMahon is already announced at this year's headliner, so WWE is saving Cena's induction to headline a different year. Okay, so we already know going into the Hall of Fame in a couple of months, in April, that Stephanie McMahon is the headliner. She is the main event for this year's WWE Hall of Fame, as far as whoever else gets entered into. Now for John Cena, there is no rush, right? There is no rush for John Cena to go into the WWE Hall of Fame right away. It's a mistake they made with Edge, after he had a force to retire all those years ago, and he couldn't wrestle again at that time. I feel that was too early to put Edge into the Hall of Fame at that time. I feel that this would have been the right time to put Edge into the Hall of Fame, but it is what it is. They didn't think he was coming back, and they just threw him in, and they just went ahead and put him in. But it was really too soon at that time. But it is what it is. Edge is incredible. He's great. So, but yeah, for John Cena, I just feel that it's too soon. Like, if you're gonna put John Cena in the Hall of Fame, absolutely, Hall of Fame first ballot. But I feel that let a couple years pass. Let the dust really settle. Let us miss Cena for a while before you put him in the Hall of Fame. I mean, there is speculations that a different year is probably next year, right? And there's still talk of trying to get Batista nominated, trying to get Batista into the Hall of Fame, but it's scheduling, and it's just getting his schedule to work with WWE's schedule so that he has time, so that he's able to be at the Hall of Fame and accept the award. So as far as John Cena goes, yeah, no rush into getting John Cena into the Hall of Fame. Take your time. We got Stephanie this year, and let's just stay focused on this year. But yeah, Cena, I could see like 28, 29, maybe. Not 27. not 27, because if he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2027, that means he's got to go he would need to go to Saudi Arabia for the Hall of Fame ceremony, and that's a whole different can of worms of how we look at how everything is going to work for WrestleMania week in Saudi Arabia. So we will cross that bridge next year. But as far as, Hall of Fame, 28, 29, I could see Cena being inducted. But congrats for Stephanie for this year at least. Sources in WWE told Votes that they believe Styles is not done wrestling in some capacity. However, nobody in WWE or AEW seems to know what his next move will be. I think the let go, I think obviously he's not done, especially what he said. The little teaser or cliffhanger that Styles left when he said that he wasn't really sure about when he took his gloves off and then he put them back on. He does not know, right? I think we have to allow him to have time. He just have time with his wife, his kids, and allow him to figure out whatever he does next, whether it's come back to WWE for one more match, go back to TNA, which is what I think he would do if he's looking to finish out his career as a pro wrestler. It would probably be where it began, in TNA, because he didn't leave his glove. He didn't take his gloves. He took his gloves off, and it looked like he was going to leave them in the ring, but he didn't. He put them back on, and he didn't leave his boots in the middle of the ring, which is what a lot of pro wrestlers do when they are done. So he didn't do any of that stuff. So it's really just like he lost the match. His career in WWE is over. But I don't think his pro wrestling career is anywhere near done. I think he's going to take all the time that he wants to take off. And that if he feels like he can do at least one more match, he probably will. And it will probably be in TNA, not AEW. I think any ideas of AJ Styles of going to AEW needs to be put in a tiny box. I wouldn't throw it out the window, because you can never say never in pro wrestling, because anyone can end up anywhere. But I believe that AJ Styles, if he does come back to pro wrestling for at least one more match, it will be in TNA, and it probably will be for the TNA World Championship. Wrestling Observer Live's Brian Alvarez was told that one big reason why The Rock's daughter Ava left WWE is because she thought they gave her a lowball contract offer. This has happened with others in NXT who also decided to leave when WWE didn't want to give them a raise. This happened to a lot. Jasmine Nix is one of those people this happened to. I hope it's not true, and I'm only speculating when I say this, but I think when it comes to renewing a contract in NXT, they might be doing a low blow offer of a contract for one or two reasons. When they're hoping that not that reason. It would more than likely be because they want to offer them something, but maybe they don't want to. Maybe they're hoping that they'll see the offer and then they'll decline it, so that they are off the hook of releasing them. Like when they come to the end of their contract, they give them an offer and they give them an offer. The person looks at the offer, looks at it as a low blow offer, which is probably on purpose, and then that person decides, no thank you, I'm not gonna renew. And then that keeps them off the hook from having to release people, because at least they can say that they offered them something, but they didn't take it. So what can we do? I really hope that's not the case. That I really hope what I just said is really stays a rumor, and that's really not true. But that's what it feels. That's what it feels like. F4W Online's Dave Meltzer mentioned that WWE believes Seth Rollins will be able to return in time for a singles match against Braun Breaker at WrestleMania 42. That match is confirmed to be on the card in Las Vegas. Confirmed, which not really. Remember, this is a rumor. So, but the way that the masked, we got the hooded masked man dressed in black at Royal Rumble, and seemingly with the assist to get Braun Breaker eliminated from the Rumble before Braun Breaker could even really get started in the Royal Rumble. I think, yeah, I believe that Seth Rollins is healing up nicely, and they started doing this because he will be able to come back. He will be able to be back in time for WrestleMania, and we just planted that first seed. So as far as who the hooded mask figure is, who it will reveal to be, is something that we need something we probably won't know for sure. Probably until after Elimination Chamber. We're gonna have to wait a while before we know, but I think we'll start seeing him here and there, sprinkled here and there. But as far as who it is, it'll more than likely be revealed to be Seth Rollins, but we probably won't see it be Seth Rollins until either at Elimination Chamber or after Elimination Chamber. But we'll have to play the long game and let it play out and let them cook for however long they need to cook for. And I want to move on and talk about Ricochet for a little bit. So I want to talk about it for a second, and I want to start from 2018 all the way to now. So, and this will all make sense if you probably already know where I'm going with it. But so Ricochet debuted in WWE on NXT in 2018 at NXT Arrival. Now in 2018, this was at a time when we had a streaming site called the WWE Network, and at that time NXT was exclusively on NXT was exclusively on the WWE Network. Came on every Wednesday, and it was on for a good. It was only at the time. It was only an hour show, so they would fit everything they wanted to do. They did within an hour. And it was never enough. You always wanted, and you always ended, those shows always ended with you wanting more. And, eventually they went to 2 hours, but it took a while for them to get to the 2 hour mark. But yeah, at the time it was only a 1 hour show. But, so Ricochet debuted on NXT in 2018. And then in 2019, he debuted on the main roster, and then 5 years later, from 2019, he debuts in AEW. In Ricochet's time in WWE, he has won the NXT North American Championship. He has won the United States Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, and then he won the inaugural Speed Championship. Ricochet's time in WWE, for me at least, was very memorable. It was very good. He had lots of memorable moments. He had some great matches in WWE. However, I guess his time in WWE from 2018 to when he left WWE in 2024, I guess he did not enjoy his time in WWE. And there were many things that Ricochet has said from last year to now negatively about WWE. This is one of the things he said. "They took my love of pro wrestling away. I'll never forget how I felt walking into work every week. And that platform was only to make others look good at my expense. And I told them I'd rather quit and go back to the indies and make whatever I'd make there than come back next week." That's just one of the many quotes Ricochet said. So, in Ricochet's time in WWE, I guess he was miserable. And so I guess I'm questioning that because from 2018 to 2024, he he did have at least two different contract signings. And you would think, and if he really felt that way, he could have left. He didn't have. There were at least as far as I can believe, there were at least two opportunities. It might have only been one opportunity, but there was an opportunity in there where he didn't have to resign with WWE. He could have left. He could have, if he was that miserable in WWE in that time, then he shouldn't have resigned all those years ago. He could have walked away, gone back to the Indies, and he would have been happier if he was that miserable. But he stayed. And you and when you sign with WWE, especially if you're coming from the Indies, you can't, in good conscience, compare the Indies to WWE. Just like you can't compare WWE to AEW. These are three very different things. Three very different things. And when you're coming into WWE, you should be aware of everything that you're coming into with WWE, what WWE is. It's not just pro wrestling, it is sports and entertainment. There's so much more that goes into what happens at a WWE show event than what happens at a independent show or even at an AEW show. These are three very different things. If you are someone in the Indies that loves the Indies and wants to stay in the Indies, but you want more of an exposure, AEW is a good spot for you because AEW is more on the pro wrestling, more on the pro wrestling independent side of how they do business, how they do shows. AEW is a platform for an indie wrestler that can make more money at AEW than at an indie show. You still can make good money at an indie show, depending who you are and what you offer. But yeah, you can make good money at an indie show. But you can take that good money at an indie show, and if you want to stay in the indies, then you can go to AEW and get a little bit more exposure and get paid a lot more, because Tony Khan will pay you a lot more, and you can still sign with AEW and still work those indie shows at the same time while still working for AEW, while still fulfilling your obligations to AEW, maybe popping up at a CMLL show or at a Ring of Honor show and still do all the other independent stuff while still signed to AEW. Absolutely. WWE is different. It is not like that. You wouldn't be, if you're an indie wrestler and you come to WWE, you are not going to be able to do all those indie shows that you did in the past. When you're with WWE, you're with WWE. So you would do stuff within WWE, whether it's on Raw or on SmackDown, or maybe a show on Main Event, or maybe you do Saturday night's Main Event, or you're going to AAA, or you're going to NXT. Or even TNA, because they still do business, because they're doing business because they still have that partnership with TNA. So that is your bread and butter. That's your circle. That is your limit. Sometimes they might send you to Japan, and you might do something with Noah or something like that in Japan, because with NXT, sometimes they'll have you go to Japan. You'll do stuff with them in Japan. So absolutely, there's that too. But you can't. But WWE is a different machine, and that was Ricochet's mistake in trying to compare the indies with WWE. You can't do that. That's not how that works. when you come to WWE, when you sign with WWE, it should be fully understand what you're signing up for and everything that comes with it. It is great that you have ideas. Sometimes when you pitch those ideas, sometimes they go with it and sometimes they don't. And you have to eat that pill when they say no to your ideas, because they may have something different planned and they want to do that. But swallow the pill, hold on to the idea, keep pushing for the idea. It might actually go through. But you can't compare it. And if you are that fucking miserable in WWE for that long, then you shouldn't have resigned. And if your only reason to resign was because of I almost said her name. I'm not gonna say her, but if the only reason why you resigned at that time was because of your now wife, is a bad reason to resign. If that was your reason, I'm sure that wasn't the reason. I'm just putting that out there. If that was the reason, that's a bad reason. But if you were that miserable, then you should have left. You shouldn't have resigned the last time before you left. You could have just left. You don't have to go all through this. And to badmouth a company, right? A company that for starters, and to badmouth a company, even though you were miserable, the fact that you were to badmouth a company that gave you a platform, whether if you lost more matches than you won, you still won championships, you still had highlight moments. You were part of the Royal Rumble. You made moments. You made WrestleMania moments. You had all these moments, and if it wasn't good enough for you, then you should have left a long time ago. The fact that you're bad mouthing this company and you're talking crap about a company that gave you a platform, that put more eyes on you and have more people know who you are, and a lot of those people followed you to AEW, which then gave AEW even more eyes because you were there, is some bullshit. Shut up. Stop bad-mouthing a company that gave you a platform. Whether you liked it or not, they still gave you opportunities. They still gave you a platform to shine. And you won championships. You had great moments in NXT. You had great moments on Raw. You had great moments on SmackDown. You had great moments in the Royal Rumble. You had great moments in WrestleMania. You had all these great moments, and it still wasn't good enough for you because you're comparing the Indies to WWE. People are, it just, why badmouth a company? Why can't it just, it doesn't seem like he can let it go. And, Will Ospreay is guilty of doing this as well too. He's badmouthed WWE. He's never been with the company. He's only saying a lot of the stuff that Will Ospreay said last year was a lot of stuff that he said based on what he's heard without his own experience in the company. And Ricochet's experience in the company is more on when Vince was there and less towards the end when Triple H is there. But that's still not my excuse for it. It's just, I just don't, unless he's doing it for clout or just to mark out or to whatever, he's just doing it to mess with people and see who respond. Just to badmouth a company, just say thank you. Just say thank you for giving me an opportunity, and I'm moving on, and I'm here now, and I feel a lot more free here than I did here. And but no disrespect to everything the other company gave me, because even though in your eyes, if it seemed little, it still was something. It was still something more than what a lot of people who are backstage who are waiting to get. A lot of people didn't get the opportunities that Ricochet has gotten as North American champion, as United States champion, as Intercontinental champion. But maybe it's just me. Maybe I should just shut up and not speak about it. But I spoke about it, and I still have respect. I still have respect for Ricochet. He's still a great talent. He's still amazing in the ring. But as far as a person, right now he's a bit of an asshole. I know he doesn't care. I know he's not listening to this, but why talk shit? Why go on social media and talk shit about the company? They're not doing anything to you right now. They're not. You're the one that left. You're the one who wasn't happy, and why you got to talk shit about it? I said this same shit about CM Punk all those years ago, and maybe it's just, in Ricochet's case, it's just coming out. He's just letting go of all his anger. Maybe he's just not okay. Maybe just, I don't know. But, I mean, he's doing very well in AEW right now. He's got a championship. But maybe he's just one of those guys who's just never satisfied, wherever he is. I don't know. But I've talked long enough about this. This will probably be the last time I talk about this. And whatever you want to say about it, if you disagree with me, that is fine. I'm just speaking out. I'm just letting out my own frustration about it, because not that I'm defending WWE in any way. Every company has skeletons in their closet that we can all talk shit about. I get that, and I am not one, and who am I really to say all this stuff, because I wasn't there and I never experienced everything that Ricochet went through. I just know what I saw on television, and from what I saw on television, even if Ricochet wasn't happy, he was still given these opportunities, and I feel that it's warrant to mention that, and I don't think it deserves him to badmouth a company that gave him these opportunities. But it is what it is. People are people, and you can't satisfy everyone. Everyone is going to have something to say. But I'll leave it at that. And hey, hope all you, this has been Wrestling with Rumors. Hope all you have a good, fun, and safe week. I'll be back next Sunday for a whole new episode of Wrestling with Rumors. And until then, I will see all of you on the next one. Peace, y'all.